Steelers had an epic win against the Cincinnati Bengals. Got payback, and that's what it's all about, baby, in the NFL. And the Steelers got it last night with a 30-20 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. Big O, what did you think about the game?
Well, very impressed with, obviously, with the win.
Right.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves, and let's not make this more of what it was. The whole game was pretty much not, even though we won.
Right.
Let's not, but let's look at it deeper. You know what I'm saying? It was a great win, but not a great game.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Well, the thing about it is that the Steelers jumped out to a huge lead quickly in the game, and basically those are the type of games that kind of scare me at times because now you're more or less trying to maintain a lead, and that's a scary part to play in a game. Right,
especially when the Steelers have yet to experience that most of the season, if not maybe once or twice here or there.
Right.
But to have that kind of lead that early, no lead in the NFL is safe. Just ask the Dallas Cowboys.
Exactly.
At home.
Yeah.
Against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, leading that game 26-3 and ended up losing it 37-36. So you get in a game like this, and it kind of had that same sentiment. I was kind of scared because Pittsburgh jumped out to a 21-0 lead just like that.
First quarter,
right.
Absolutely.
And so before you know it, Cincinnati was basically easing their way back into the game. And, as Pittsburgh they usually do in their games, they go into like starting to run the ball to eat up the clock or whatever. But we don't have that type of blocking scheme what we used to have back in the day when we used to do that a lot.
Right.
So,
And also, let's not get the fact out. Every game, each team has their game plan of how they're gonna, face their opponent. This is what we're going to try and do. See if it works. If not, we'll switch up. But when you get into the situation like the Pittsburgh Steelers did Sunday, when they jumped out to that big early lead and really didn't do much to get that lead, now what do we do? Now you have to, it sounds silly, but now you have to change your whole game plan because you're in the lead. Now what do we do right now?
Exactly. And like I said, when teams get that huge lead like that, it's hard to try to keep hold of. Actually, when we played the New England Patriots, the Patriots jumped on a huge lead on us, but as you've seen, we actually did come back, and they, more or less ended it out later. But those big leads are very scary, and I just like Pittsburgh to play a straightforward game to where it's just straight defense, straight offense. Even if it's a tight one, you can win those games, and they know that they can. So that was a good thing. But right now, that win last night helped Pittsburgh in their playoff picture. They're still in it. Unbelievably, they're still in it after all these weeks, starting off 0-4. Can you believe it that they're still talking about in the hunt?
In the hunt. That's right. You ever watch Emergency or any of those hospital shows? Guy goes in defib, they get the paddles out, ready, clear, boom. Okay, we got a rhythm.
Right.
That's us. We got the rhythm.
Well, right now, as it looks now with the playoff picture, there are a lot of things going on. Big O, give us a little touch base on what's going on in the playoff picture, especially in the AFC.
All right, Big Tiz, we're not going to focus on any of the NFC because they're worthless and weak, and we don't care about the NFC. Let's just focus on the AFC because that's what we're in, and it doesn't matter about the NFC unless we're in it.
Right.
Okay,
right.
Now if the playoffs were today, even though Pittsburgh won Sunday, if the playoffs were today, here's the 6 teams that are in. Start out with number 6 seed, the Miami Dolphins at 8-6. Folks, that's just if it was today. It's not. If you're just joining us and you're hearing this, it's not gospel. It's not the fact. It's what would happen if the playoffs started today. So if you're just joining us, folks, this is the playoff seeds from 6-1 right now.
Right.
Okay. Dolphins in the East, 8-6. That's number 6 seed. Number 5 seed would be the Kansas City Chiefs, believe it or not, with an 11-3 record in the 5 seed, which is pretty good if that's what you want to go in there.
Because turnaround for the Chiefs.
Because then you don't have to play the higher seed, you play a lower seed. Now coming in number 4 would be the Colts. That's the South at a 9-5 record, and then here are the Bengals. Even though we beat them up on Sunday, they have a 9-5 record, they would be the number 3 seed.
Right. And then no matter what the Steelers can do with that, even if the Bengals lose out, they'll still be a game ahead of the Steelers no matter what, ending up 9-7 if they lost the rest of their games.
Right.
So that they're more or less, I think they're almost in a comfortable position of being that stronghold on the AFC North.
Right. And the number 2 would be the Patriots from New England, 10-4, even though they lost. And the number 1 seed, obviously, we all know is going to be Denver Broncos, 11-3 in the West. They're human. They lost 3 games. Who knows? But if the Super Bowl was tomorrow,
Right.
Big Tiz, this is just me. After so let's say Pittsburgh is out,
Right.
but we're not. Let's just say that they're out. All right.
Okay.
The two teams that I think are going to make it to the Super Bowl, and this is a no-brainer, is going to be the Broncos for the AFC and the Seahawks for the NFC. I mean, that's you got to go with the hot hand right now.
Yeah, but right now I see the Broncos having a slip up somewhere when they get into the playoffs. For some reason, that's their customary thing to do is to be on a fire tear even near the end of the season, and all of a sudden they start pulling up lame in the playoffs. And they did that last year with Baltimore.
You know what? I agree with you on that. I'm thinking a team like the Patriots, who like pretty much every game this year, they were. I'm pretty sure, except for the butt whooping they gave us, that they were losing every game, and they had to come back in the fourth quarter to win almost every game.
Right.
So I see a scenario that the Patriots might even squeak this out to make it to the Super Bowl, because it's not that they play great football. They're a great team. They find ways to win.
Right.
Whether it's legitimate or not, but they do that, and they've been doing it all season. And
Exactly.
And it wouldn't surprise me for 1 second if the Patriots were getting blown out and they pulled a Green Bay Packer type of game.
Very
Come out
possible.
and sneaking, with the Belichick, and got cameras everywhere and microphones. So who knows? But the bubble. You don't want to be on the bubble, but that's better than being out.
Right.
Now, there's only 4 teams on the bubble right now in the playoffs today, and it's them Ravens, it's the Steelers, the Jets, and the Chargers are on the bubble. Now, the teams that are out, no matter what, even if Jesus came down and said, "Look, you're in the playoffs," it's not going to happen, Jesus. So the teams that are out are the Titans, 5-9, the Bills, 5-9, even though they won against the Jaguars. The Raiders, 4-10. The Jaguars, 4-10. The Browns, 4-10, and the Texans, dismal, 2-12. Now, there's a couple teams on there that we lost to.
Right.
Now that really frustrates me, like the Titans, the Raiders, and it just upsets me that there's 2 wins right there where we can be 8-6 instead of 6-8.
Yeah.
It's very, very frustrating, but not as frustrating as being a Dallas Cowboy player and losing to the Green Bay Packers in that kind of fashion. I'm just saying.
That's just fun for all you Dallas Cowboy fans out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, there were a lot of things that went on in this game, but what we're going to do right now, we're going to go to a commercial break, and when we go to commercial, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about what things went right, what things went wrong in this game, and you know what? For the first time in a little while there, we're going to finally have some good things to say, and we're going to also have some, in a win, there are also things that come around that are not good. So we're going to find out next up after this commercial break on Steeler Nation Live. From our studios out in Rochester, New York, we head out west to Southern California where the palm trees are swaying as we check out Rude Dog Reyes as he does his thing out there for Steeler Nation Live. Rudy, what's going on out there in the West Coast for Steeler Nation Live?
Gentlemen, Steeler Nation worldwide, let's represent. We got it covered on that game versus the Bengals. We had it wrapped up from the onset. Got a little sloppy in the second half, but our highlights were Le'Veon Bell. What a beast that guy is. Just ran it up their gut, down the field, slot option. Anything that we threw to him, the guy did it, and he did it well. Defensively, Hayward was in it. Ziggy Hood was involved in the prostitution world again, showing up, making a marker on the field for himself. I don't necessarily believe in what Chris Collinsworth was saying in regards to, having to show Ben the ropes and having to teach and educate him. Ladies and gentlemen, Steeler Nation, Big Tiz, Big O, he is wrong. Chris Collinsworth is not someone that I would highly suggest as being believable. Yes, he played for the Bengals, and he had very little to say in a positive nature, but that's okay. We have the rest of Steeler Nation to pump us up and get it rolling. So, Steeler Nation, guys, we got to work cut out for us this week. We needed some big-time losses to occur, including the Ravens. Didn't happen. We took care of business. Unfortunately, we have one last gasp for air. So, we can do this. We have to be methodical. The second half, we got a little bit lazy. We didn't exactly have all the right heart in the defensive interior on defensive exterior and cornerbacks. Our aging defense has to go for these safeties. I mean, you can't expect to, take somebody 5 yards off the ball and do their job. I Taylor showed up in this game, but again, AG secondary is only going to last for a game at a time. We need a whole season worth. So with that being said, we took care of the ball on both sides of it. Bengals trying to come back. It was 20-30. Final score, Big Tiz, Big O. I got one word, and that's Pittsburgh. We got this thing coming. We got to beat Green Bay in Green Bay. The Browns have to lose with the Jets, and Miami has to lose as well. So with that being said, let's go Steeler Nation. Let's pump this up. Let's get it rolling. Pittsburgh, let's go.
Uniform Express, located on 1408 Buffalo Road, Rochester, New York, for your police, fire, or EMS supplies. One of Rochester's top and finest suppliers of shirts, pants, shoes, boots, and accessories for your professional uniform needs. Uniform Express also does embroidery and screen print for team uniforms, jerseys, and corporations. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also go to their website at www.uniformexpress.com or call Brian at 585-529-4245. That's 585-529-4245. And let Brian know you heard his ad on our show, Steeler Nation Live.
Welcome back to Steeler Nation Live. Big Tiz.
And I'm Big O.
Guys, we want to let you guys know here on Steeler Nation Live, we appreciate you, the fans. Big Tiz and Big O, actually, we work a full-time job. We come here late at night to do this radio station for you guys because we want you guys to know how much we love the Steelers, and we want to give that support back out to you, and we love it that you guys give it back to us. So we want to let you guys know how we both appreciate, the love that you gave us here at Steeler Nation Live.
Yeah, and plus what helps me out personally, and I'm pretty sure it helps out Big Tiz, is that the more work we do with the Steelers, the more we learn and the more we get educated so that we can bring it to you. It's not like we're just like anybody could read,
right?
But we actually look for these things. We make phone calls, we talk to people. It's anybody can look on the internet and pick up stuff, but the stuff that we give you folks is hard work that me and Tiz, we do a lot of legwork, we do a lot of phone work, we make a lot of friends, and friends help friends, and we get little inside scoops that normally you wouldn't find on the internet. So sometimes if you hear stuff from Big Tiz and Big O, and you're like, what's that all about? Don't be surprised.
Might be a long day coming. The long day is in front of and back of us, so
that's
we have
right.
a long day.
Yeah, so don't be surprised if you hear on Steeler Nation Live before you hear it on ESPN or any other talk show, because we actually get out there, we do a lot of legwork and get this information out for you folks because we care not only about the Steelers, but we care about our fans out there.
Exactly. Well, saying that, we do appreciate you guys and want you guys to know that, so we just wanted to come out and say that here on Steeler Nation Live. But we're going to get back to the show, and what we want to do is let's discuss some things. Let's go to the wrong side first, just to get that out of the way,
right? So
we can talk about the positive. So, Big O, what's some of the things that you thought that went wrong in this game versus the Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, here's the thing that right off the top of the number one list, special teams, okay? But you're saying, oh, well, we ran a punt back. We didn't block a punt, but we made a safety.
Right.
It was a safety, but they tried to screw us once again. That the momentum, that he wasn't in the end zone. I don't know what they were talking about. I wasn't on the field, but from where I was watching in my seat at home on my 60-inch TV, I saw he was in the end zone. That's a safety. But you know what? I'm glad he didn't call it a safety because now we had a chance to score a touchdown, which we did. But the cover team, horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
Another day with them giving up at least, to me, it seemed like 30 or 40 yards on kickoff returns. And it's like I'm almost getting to the point that when we kick the ball off, I'm almost scared what's going to happen. That's because a lot of the kicks are not even reaching the end zone.
That's when you get up, get a snack, go to the bathroom, whatever, because you don't want to see this. And like you just said, Big Tiz, you're right. If Swisham's not kicking in the end zone, you expect the other team to get the ball at least at the 40.
Right.
They're 40. And, they're getting better. Special teams getting better. And the question was presented to Mike Tomlin about special teams, how great they were. And Mike Tomlin, he addressed the same issues that we're addressing right now. He also said the same thing. There's still a lot of work. If nothing's 100%, still a lot of work on special teams.
Right.
Also, even though we had that lead, you don't want to let the team get back in the game. And how were the Bengals getting back into the game on Sunday night? Third downs.
Yeah.
Not stopping the third down. when you're 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and you're watching Ike Taylor and you're watching Cortez Allen, you're playing 10, 15 yards off the line. I mean, I was yelling. You were yelling.
Yeah.
We were watching the game. I like, even they should have heard us. I don't understand that concept that you want to play up on the guy, even if it wasn't 3rd and short, 3rd and long. You want to hit these guys, get them off the, because what happens is that everybody's scared that these receivers, Sanu, A.J. Green, are going to beat you deep, so they play off the line,
Right.
and that's what happens. That's why Dalton gets the ball out so quickly, because the receivers know this and they cancel their routes, they go short, and they pick up the 8 to 10 yards instead of trying to go for the bomb all the time. So you have to play up close, you have to hit them. Once you do that, now you're allowing your defensive line to get more pressure on the quarterback. We did sack Dalton last night, or not last night, Sunday, and that was the first sack that Dalton had since the second game of the season.
Wow.
So, like I said, all the teams are scared, so they're playing off the wide receivers. It's giving Dalton a lot of time to do those 3-second drops. And Roethlisberger did it last night too. But we'll get back to that and things will run right. Not enough pressure on Dalton.
I agree with that. There was not a lot of pressure on him, and the fact is, I've seen at times where it looked like he just stood back in the pocket, and he did have a lot of time to throw the ball. So we do have to work on that pressure. And I mean, well, we do get it from time to time where you get Hayward, who's starting to emerge. He's starting to look like a beast out there. So that is good. So we do have some good tools to work with next year. But, like we said before, we still have some problems on the secondary coverage side, and they talked about it last night, in Sunday night's game with the aging veterans on Steelers defense. Palomalo, Ike Taylor, and some of the other guys out there in the secondary is just getting to start to show.
Yeah, but the good thing about that, yes, there is a good thing. A flip side to that being hold, you got the maturity level, and you got the years of experience, so that you can cut corners, and you really don't need the wheels per se.
Right.
You could use your smartness, your brains to an advantage over your history of the football, what the receivers might do, and you can try to guess what they might be doing ahead of time.
Right.
So that kind of washes it out right there and kind of evens things up. But still, you would like a taller, faster, agile safety or cornerback. That's true. One thing that I saw when we watched the game, Big Tiz, was I felt that the defense was relying too much on the offense. They got the big lead, so I think that they, sit back, soft zone, not really. You got 21-0 lead,
right?
And then it's 24, and we're kicking field goals. So I felt, I could be wrong, that I think that the defense was just relying too much on the offense.
Yeah, that's what happens, and that's what happens with it when you get those big leads. That's one thing I respect about the New England Patriots, which I'm not a big fan of, but you got to respect some of the things they do, because when they get leads like that, they usually still play that same type of defense, and they still come at you hard. Granted, their defense is suspect, but they still play it.
Right, true.
Because you can't. The same thing that got you there is the same things that you have to continue to make. To keep that pressure on. You can't just let them sit back there and pick you apart.
That's true. And also that we're still, we talk about this pretty much every show, that we're still not getting the calls that we deserve.
Right.
There's many, many times. I remember watching a game many times, Big Tiz.
Remember, we talked about it last night, Timmons.
Yeah.
Timmons was guarding, I'm trying to remember who it was, one of the running backs that slipped out of the backfield, number 25.
Oh, Bernard. Giovanni
exactly.
Bernard.
Covering him coming out of the backfield, slipping out, and they called holding, and it was unbelievable. I mean, he might have touched him, and that was it.
That was it. I mean, if you're gonna call something, call interference.
Exactly.
But he didn't even interfere with the ball. He ran past him, he touched him, and you got holding. Didn't even grasp the jersey. Stuff like that. And the constant, we all know that pretty much every play on offensive line is holding.
Exactly.
But you got to call at least once or twice on the Bengals. Come on, please, really? And stuff like that. We really didn't get screwed that much, but they tried with the safety. They tried that, but that backfired on them.
Right.
And the no call on the punt return from Brown, that was, I agree with that. I mean, even though technically the punter has that, just like a quarterback, he's got that. What's the word I'm looking for, Big Tiz? That safety shield around him that you really can't target him and block him or hit him like that. But I'll get to that after the show. I'll probably remember it. But it was a clean hit per se. I mean, they're talking helmet to helmet. His jaw broke. I mean, folks, it's football. Okay.
Well, like I said, and don't get me wrong, I'm a big Steeler fan, black and gold, love it to death. But that, to me, that was an illegal hit on that play. Because I even seen to the fact to where it seemed like at the last minute the defensive guy put his head down and, caught the punter. But, like I really don't see how they missed that call. But
well, you know how it happens in Pittsburgh. Weeks later, you'll get fined.
Exactly, and believe me, that guy, he'll probably be looking for a fine coming because I'm pretty sure they will replay, especially with this guy sitting on the sideline with a broken jaw.
So any complaints you can care of, Big Tiz, Steel Nation Live, and if you're not unhappy with Big Tiz, I'm whatever.
Exactly.
But we don't want to take too much away from the victory by saying all these things that usually when we win we don't have a laundry list of things that went wrong, but when you win you usually don't have that.
Right.
But Sunday night there's a lot of things that went wrong. You cannot let that score mislead you. We won, yes. We scored 30 points, yes. Don't forget they scored 20 points.
Right.
And you got to commend on the things that went right. One of the things that did go right was the clock management. That's something that's been a bad omen for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season and part of last season.
Right.
Poor clock management. But Sunday night was a great job by the coaching staff. Mike Tomlin, at the end of the game, that could have went ugly.
Yeah.
It could have went south very, very fast. And one of the plays of the game was 3rd and long, and I think it was Brown or Sanders got the ball and got the first down.
Sanders, yep.
And Cincinnati already blew 2 timeouts, so we needed that first down. And I think that was the turning point of the game. Had we not got that first down, I think we might be talking about different results.
Oh yeah, probably punting the ball, and at that point, the way our defense is shaky this year, that it would have been a scary ending.
Right, because let's say Cincinnati still had a timeout and a 2-minute warning, so technically they had, two timeouts left. Before I forget to mention this, I'm really appalled at the way the Cincinnati Bengals were playing after. Right. Falling down, injuries, and stuff like that, stopping the clock. They even got charged their last timeout. That helped the Steelers too. There's like 2 minutes, 20 seconds left to go to the game. Remember that?
Right.
Guy falls down. I'm hurt. Well, you could tell obviously the guy's faking it. So they charged the Bengals with a timeout, and so they lost their last timeout, but they still had the 2-minute warning.
Right. And
still they tried players falling down. What team was doing that before? Was that the Giants? Who was criticized for that?
I'm not sure, but I did hear somebody doing that before.
Yeah, but enough of the negativity. Let's get some positive stuff here. Big Tiz, what do you think was like one of the major things that went well for the Steelers?
Well, the good thing is that they actually took advantage of all the miscues that the Cincinnati Bengals had out there. I mean, from fumbled snaps to
Who calls a fair catch on a kickoff?
Exactly.
But we all know what the deal was in that one. He did not call fair catch, but he did the motions as a fair catch. I was not on the field, but I'm pretty sure he was telling the guy beside him, I got the ball. Right. But once you do a fair catch, it's one of the football rules. It's like when you fumble the ball after you catch it. It's a football move.
Exactly.
Once you get that arm up and you wave it around, hey, you're signaling fair catch, and that hurt them as well. The punt. The failed punt, that hurt them as well. And
I mean, but the Steelers pounced on every opportunity they had to score. And they didn't just go down and start scoring field goals,
right.
where they would just get bogged down. They actually started going for the jugular, which is beautiful to see. And it was so beautiful to watch Antonio Brown finally taking that punt back, going for that touchdown, which he should have did against Miami.
Yeah.
But you know what? Hey.
Well, he did, but some people think he stepped out of bounds, and we're not going to stop talking about that or the Tomlin. That drove me nuts too. They talked about that the whole night. Tomlin on the field, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you got to have something to hold on to.
That's true.
Everybody hates a winner.
That's it.
Hey, but also, the other things that went right were the Steelers played a lot of no-huddle offense. And like I said before earlier, you got to do the things that got you to a certain position, and they seem to move the ball when they do no huddle.
That's right, and you could tell the Bengals were definitely confused when the Steelers were running that. They had guys running all over the defense, didn't know what. They had, there's supposed to be one guy in the defensive linebackers, captain calling the plays. He had defensive linemen calling plays. You had linebackers calling plays. They were totally confused, and that was the result of the no huddle, because they didn't know what to expect. They had the 3 wide receivers set, and they dished the ball off to Le'Veon Bell to the other side, to the weak side. Plays like that get them on their toes, and Heath Miller had a bunch of catches last night.
Which is good. Like I said, a lot of teams flourish when they start to use their tight end. Your tight end's a safety valve. You have to use him. He's the closest man to the line of scrimmage once they go out for passes.
Yeah, and also another thing that I felt went right during the game was Ben was getting the ball out quickly.
Yes.
And there were a couple times, more than once, twice, maybe 3 times, where he threw the ball without even grasping the laces.
Yeah, I've seen that quite a few times.
And I think that would happen on his interception. I don't know. He was throwing with the wind. He just kind of underthrew him through the interception. But it was deep down the others, things, whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, they did a lot of things correct in this game. And with that Ben starting to get the ball out quicker out of his hands, that is a huge plus for the Steelers. And that's going to help them stay healthy. I don't know what they're going to happen with their offense in the long term, because, Ben has to find a way to get the ball out of his hand quicker. And that's supposedly what Todd Haley was supposed to be there for, to help get that dink and dunk type offense going so I can get the ball out of his hand.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's kind of mission match with each other, but I don't believe that Haley will be back next year.
Yeah, but I think after watching the game on Sunday, I'm pretty sure that it's slowly in transition that Haley's given the reins to Ben, let him call the plays.
Right.
Which he should. Now, Haley's got his play selection. I understand that. And what Ben should do is take that play selection and see what will work, what won't work, and let him decide. Unlike Tony Romo, who's being, he's not calling the plays, but the one play that he threw that last interception, where I guess was supposed to be a running play, and he decided to throw on that. Oh boy, it's not good. Yeah. But we all know Jerry Jones is not going to get rid of Garrett, because Garrett is his puppet. And there's no other coach that's going to go to a team like that where they're going to have total control.
That's true. I will agree with that. And thank God we don't have that, because that's almost like modern day Al Davis on there.
Oh, no. Yep.
So, but let's just step back to some of the other things that did go correct. And the Steelers used their running attack and had a good day with their running attack. Le'Veon Bell doing his thing. So the line seems to be trying to show up their blocking. There were times when Ben was actually looking around for different receivers and had the time to.
Oh yeah, that touchdown to Brown, that was ridiculous. He was back in the pocket for so long that because of that, when they did score a touchdown, the referees threw the flag, and I'm glad they picked it up.
Right.
The reason why they threw the flag, because with that much time, usually somebody is downfield where they're not supposed to.
Right.
And that wasn't the case. So I didn't understand that call because of if. We go with the ifs again. If this happens, that's supposed to happen.
Right.
And I don't like that against the Pittsburgh Steelers. If something you think might happen, you can't throw the flag. If that's what happened before in other plays, you can't throw the flag. It's got to happen now.
Right.
That he might hold him, so I'm going to throw a flag on that, because in this situation, the guard usually holds. But that's pretty much, and I was shocked that they picked up the flag, because usually we get screwed on that.
Exactly.
And that was a touchdown that could have been taken away.
Well, one good thing, speaking of flags, the Steelers did a couple, flag replays.
Yeah, challenges. Mike Tomlin.
The challenges came out, in the way of Pittsburgh. And it's been a lot of times where I've seen Pittsburgh come up short on those challenges.
Yeah, and plus not make challenges at all.
Right.
So, Tomlin early and often with the red flag, this time of the season, you got to do it.
Right.
Especially when, you need every play.
Exactly.
And usually, like you said, Big Tiz, it usually doesn't go our way, but you got to try. Right?
Exactly.
Right?
And special teams. Special teams was another good thing. We did talk about that earlier on, the defensive side of special teams, where, we're trying to block them from coming down in the field. But the fact is, Antonio Brown with a huge return, that was scintillating. That opened up that crowd that night.
Yeah, but the block that you said should have been a penalty,
right,
that opened up the hole for him. So not necessarily that the punter would have made the tackle, but could have slowed him down just enough. But I'm pretty sure we'll see a fine in a couple of days or whatnot.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe lose a draft pick or two. I don't know.
Anything to keep a winner down. Remember that, guys.
That's it.
And there were a lot of injuries that came out of that game as well. Because the Pittsburgh Steelers, like we always have done all season long, we have a rash of injuries. And these rash of injuries keep us to where we are right now. And those are things that's killing us.
Right. So we're not going to dwell who's on the IR right now. But we'll talk about the game against the Bengals. Who got hurt? Lamar Woodley. He got hurt. Hurt his leg, hurt his calf actually, but not the leg with the hamstring. So he's a walking mess right now. So he is doubtful for next Sunday against the Packers. And we had Beecham went down and Marcus Gilbert went down, both with ankle injuries. However, they both returned later on in the game. Now the Steelers are tied for second place in the whole NFL for different combinations of offensive lines.
Right.
Now, that's the whole NFL, folks. So you have to give kudos to the Steelers' offense for even being somewhere, even thought about being in the playoffs, because you need that strong offensive line. Take the teams that have had secure, strong offensive line the whole season and not done anything.
Right.
Then you don't even know who's playing the next game. You have a roster, but is this person going to be able to play that game? Or if he does, is he going to get hurt, and who's going to replace him?
Exactly. I agree with you totally.
So, boy.
Well, like I said, guys, hopefully those injuries will be something that, these guys can get past and play in this upcoming game this Sunday versus the Green Bay Packers, which is going to be a huge game for the Steelers. But you know what, guys? We're going to head out to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to go to Gone But Not Forgotten, and then we're going to also preview the Packer game. Next up on Steeler Nation Live.
Heckle & Jekyll Sports Cards, Collectibles, and Video Games. Open 7 days a week here in Rochester, New York. Mike has all kinds of individual cards and packs. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Just to name a few. Mike also has the widest variety of video games too, from Sega Genesis to Wii to PlayStation to Nintendo, Game Boy Color Advance, and so on. Mike has all the old school games you can't rent or buy anymore. Mike also has a great selection of autographed memorabilia, sports jerseys, hats, 8x10s signed by your professional athletes for you to buy. He also has video game, Yu-Gi-Oh! And poker tournaments, Beanie Babies, Bratz dolls, sports figures, and more. Mike runs the show 7 days a week. Call Mike, 585-889-9130. That's 585-889-9130. Folks, if you're not in Rochester and you're looking for that hard-to-buy memorabilia, call Mike or look him up on the web at heckjack@rochester.rr.com. Once again, folks, that's heckjack@rochester.rr.com. But if you are in Rochester, you can go down to Chile Avenue, that's 3240 in the Chile Paul Village.
It's McGinney's Sports Pub, located at 2246 East River Road. A perfect blend of Irish charm and Italian cuisine. From Calabria favorites like calamari to chicken French to the new signature dish like the Steel City Deli.
The Rothless Burger.
Everything is delicious and prepared fresh for you. They offer a full lineup of your favorite beverages with drink specials daily, and don't forget their $5 Monster Bomb.
Ice cold beer.
All day, every day. With 2 floors of seating and 20 high-def televisions, there's not a bad seat in the house to catch every minute of the NFL action.
Watch what you want.
McGinney's is the official home of the Rochester Steelers fan club.
Steelers!
So come on down to McGinney's Sports Pub, 2246 East River Road in
Welcome back to Steeler Nation Live here in Rochester, New York. I'm Big O.
I'm Big Tiz.
And folks, before we forget, we have to do the stats. I know a lot of people out there are probably actually pencil pushers and they want to know these things. And the last thing we want to do is we want to eliminate any important information out there for you, the fans. So, with that being said, if you look at the score, 30-20, it's kind of close. And you look at all the other aspects of the game, everything was pretty much even.
Right.
The thing that separated us were the safety that wasn't called. We got the botched punt and the punt return. So a lot of that stuff didn't actually happen on offense because we got the ball at the goal line and then we scored a touchdown. So that's really not like we didn't have the ball for very long and we didn't have to go very far to score a touchdown. So stuff like that's not going to be added, that's not going to be seen. But don't be misled with the stats, okay? You look at the game, it's pretty much even. We got total yards for the Pittsburgh Steelers was 290 to the Bengals 279. No, it's kind of close. Penalties, 4 for 25 yards for the Steelers and 6 for 50 for the Bengals.
Right.
Now there's a couple of personal foul penalties that happened early in the game. A huge face mask penalty, I think, on the first running play for the Steelers. That didn't help the cause for the Bengals.
And I think they had a taunting one later in the game.
Oh, they did had a taunting. I mean, we saw the replay. Didn't look like much was going on, but like I told you, Big Tiz, we don't know what was said.
Exactly.
I don't think he was inviting him out for drinks and chicken wings after. So for the referee to throw a flag, I mean, there was no pushing, no shoving. Something was said, and the ref threw a flag. I mean, must have been really bad for the ref to throw the flag and give it to us, the Steelers.
Exactly.
Turnovers were 1-1. We had the interception. Bengals had the fumble, and that was on one of the challenge flags from Tomlin. So that was great. The Steelers held the ball for 31 minutes, 31 and a half, almost 32 minutes, to the Bengals 28-24. I mean, Roethlisberger, he needed, I think it was 268 yards to make $4,000 once again for the year. So he came up a little short. He was 20 for 25 for 191 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. Le'Veon Bell, mediocre. 24 carries, 57 yards. However, he did have that 1 TD.
Right.
And not too much going on in the passing side of the Steelers. Brown, 5 receptions, 66 yards, and 1 TD. Also, that punt return for a TD.
Exactly.
Now, how did the Bengals do on the other side?
Well, the Bengals, they did okay, but a lot of this stuff was really done like late third, early fourth quarter when they were trying to scramble to get back in the game. But Dalton, 25 for 44, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. And like I said, a lot of this was in the second half later in the game. Bernard, 13 carries, 33 yards, 1 touchdown. This guy, he took a 1-yard touchdown, a 1-yard plunge into the touchdown. This guy, he's going to be a dangerous factor if they do make it into the playoffs. But I'm not sure how far I see the Bengals going. But this guy is a good addict for them. A.J. Green, 9 catches, 93 yards. I'm a little bit surprised about that. But a lot of that was what you talked about earlier about A.J. Green actually, catching the ball because Ike Taylor and everybody else was like 10 yards downfield.
I don't know.
Like you said, scared of being burnt deep. And Jones, 5 for 48 and 1 touchdown. So, I mean, they did okay, but a lot of those yards came later in the game, and they were just those yards trying to make up, to get back into the game from this deficit. But the defensive side of the ball for the Steelers, they had 1 sack and 1 fumble recovery. Yeah,
we did that sack early, and and because of that, I do believe that Dalton did adjust.
Right.
Instead of 3 seconds, 1.5 to 2 seconds. And like I said earlier, that's because we're playing so deep off the line with the receivers, he can just throw it. And the way we have not been tackling, that's another issue that we've got to talk about. What went wrong? A lot of grabbing, a lot of ass grabbing, no tackling, especially on the special teams, especially
I agree
special
totally.
teams. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's too cold out, my fingers hurt or whatever. I can't tackle you. Let's slow you down. No. You have to tackle, and that's another one of the main things that let the Bengals back into the game. Is a lot of missed tackles, especially on third downs, and letting them get the first down.
Exactly.
But do you think it's a changing of the guards with the law firm? Because usually he's the goal line guy,
right.
And he was like non-existent last night, and I was shocked about that.
Yeah, he didn't really carry the ball at all. I'm not even sure if he was really in the game. I didn't really see much of him at all.
Nah, his stats were. I think you had better stats than he did.
I probably did. I was going to the refrigerator.
Yeah, Bud Light.
But you know what? The Bengals, their defense, they actually didn't do horrific, to be honest.
No. They kept us in check. I mean, they had 1 sack, I believe, and
1 sack and 1 interception.
Pac-Man Jones.
Right, and that was
who should be in prison.
Yeah.
Did I say that?
But that interception was off of the long ball that Roethlisberger threw down the field that went into the wind and fluttered a little, and it was underthrown. Actually, basically ended up being underthrown. So, but those are the stats for this game. But the Steelers actually, they were kind of almost even stats. To be honest, if you're looking at the score, you think the Steelers would put up this massive points. But like you said, we had the special teams, and our field goals, things like that. So at least we're playing balanced football in that game.
Right, and the way we were kicking the field goals, we could have easily missed those 3 because Swisham did that earlier.
Right.
So, kicking into that open end of the field, that's.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to know how to kick the ball in your own stadium. So.
Exactly. Well, you know what? Since we're talking about the Bengals, let's get on into our part of the show where we always talk about those 3 ex-Steelers playing on other teams, and we're going to start off with the big bad Debo, what they call him. They used to call him when he's at Pittsburgh, James Harrison.
That's
now,
right.
You remember in that game, as a lot of you guys seen, he left the game walking off the field a little early, and he ended up with a concussion.
That's right, and he's been out for a couple games because if you've been following the show, we've been giving you the gone but not forgotten stats, and they haven't really said too much about his injury. But he was coming back off an injury. He wanted to start against Pittsburgh Steelers Sunday night, and folks, he did. Came strong, and left early.
Yeah. Like I said, this guy's he's a trooper, and I really do, and I think next year it'll probably be it for him. And like we said earlier in the show, hopefully he will do that coming back to Pittsburgh. And they got to give him some kind of minute somewhere just to let him finish out his career and retire as a Steeler. And I think that's what will happen with this guy. But you know what? We're going to continue on. Let's go with Rashard Mendenhall. Arizona Cardinal.
Arizona. Let's see. 21 carries, 69 yards, 2 touchdowns.
See, that seems like a decent day for Rashard Mendenhall. But the only thing with Rashard, like we talked about earlier, you get a day like that, and then you get the next game where it's like 10 carries for 14 yards. You know what I mean?
That's a 20-point fantasy game right there. I mean, if you played him, which I don't think anybody did, but if you did, you got 20 points pretty much in most standard NFL fantasy football leagues.
Exactly.
What about Mike Wallace?
Mike Wallace, ex-Steeler, playing with the Miami Dolphins, who beat us last week. But you know what? Hey, he's 6 catches for 105 yards, 1 touchdown. So he actually had a decent day against these New England Patriots.
Now, when you say decent, you compare that to his payroll or decent to an average NFL wide receiver?
Well, I'm going to look at it this way. In this game against New England, he was a good factor in this game to help the Dolphins win that game. And I don't know what's going to happen in the long run with Wallace down in Miami, because right now, to me, he's not worth that money which the Dolphins laid out for him.
Nope.
And I can't see him as being. You laid out a lot of money for him to almost be a number 1 receiver, and he's not really a number 1 receiver.
I think he'd be a good fit in Dallas. I think he would be. Well, after what happened with Bryant walking off the field with a minute and a half left to go in the game, really, I know I keep referring back to the Dallas Cowboy game, but I tell you, that guy's a cancer to that team.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have strong spirit and you want to coach your team and help them do better, but when you do it as almost like a kid crying, then that becomes cancer. Because what's the difference between that and T.O.?
When you're more, I don't know, more worserer. If you act worse than T.O., it's time to go.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And that's going to free up a spot next year. He could have used him. He had a touchdown. He had 100, almost 140 yards receiving and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Could have used him in the last 2 minutes. Possibly could have won the game for the Cowboys because that's their number 1 guy. If that ever happened in Pittsburgh, I'd personally go down there with you, obviously, in tow. Yeah.
I tell you, it's a bad thing. But you know what? We do wish luck to those guys that were ex-Steelers, and you know what? They seem to be doing okay, some of them. But you know what? I don't know what's going to happen when next year comes around. Might be some cuts I can see coming, but you know what? That's part of the NFL package. Hey, but one thing
about Packers, we got the Packers next Sunday, the 22nd Sunday, Lambeau Field. It's going to be cold.
Yep.
It's going to be cold.
You know what? I think the Steelers will do well in this game, and being an honest Steeler fan, I'm not sure about coming out with a win. And the reason I say that is because now you're coming into Green Bay and you're playing Matt Flynn, who's coming off a huge win in Dallas. Huge.
Win.
I mean, when I say huge, I mean coming from struggling to keep the team alive in the first half to firing 4 touchdowns in the second half.
I think that was the Packers coming back from that deficit at halftime. I think they matched team history from rallying from 23 points down at half. And not like they came back and tied it or whatnot. They came back only for Dallas to take another lead.
Yeah.
And I think it was 2.5 minutes left to go in the game, and the Packers were down by 12 points. A lot of people turning the game off, turning the station.
I know I did.
It took me like 4 hours after the game to realize that the Packers had won. I didn't think they were, as much as I dislike the Cowboys and their fans, I really thought that Dallas was going to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did, especially the way they started, and you figured Dallas was on a roll, which they were due for, and you figured that they would have got it in this game. But to see the way the Packers came out and they played in that second half, that's what I mean. You have to play 60 minutes of football, and they didn't really play 60 minutes of football, but they played well enough to keep themselves at least a heartbeat. And that's what the Steelers have to do in this game against them. They have to play tough enough to keep a heartbeat going, so until they can get their legs under them and keep going. And the thing about this, in that game, you had their receivers. Quarles, 6 catches for 66 yards, 1 touchdown. Boykin, 6 for 83. And Lacey, good day rushing, 21 for 141 yards, 1 touchdown. The guy barely had 30 yards rushing in the first half.
Right now, I mean, Dallas, granted, we all know their secondary is questionable, but their defensive line really usually shuts people down. And I don't know if it was what the reasoning was. And a lot of folks are blaming Romo for that game, but we have to look at it, the whole picture. That there's defense involved there too.
Right. People forget that the defense let them all the way back in the game.
Now
That's after Dallas took a 10-point lead later in the game, 24 to 36.
Yeah.
So it was like a 12-point game.
Yeah. So was it the failure of the Dallas defense, or was it the Green Bay defense? Well, you forced 2 interceptions in the last 3 minutes of the game. I mean, and then don't forget Flynn with the 4 touchdown passes.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of finger pointing out there. You really can't. I mean, blame it. A lot of people like to fall down on Romo. Right. As much as I dislike this guy, a lot of people fail to realize that this is a team effort, not just Romo. It's not Romo out there. There's not like 11 Romos. Okay, granted, he does make some mistakes. Right. Because he's trying too hard. Just like Roethlisberger, when he tries too hard, at this time in his career, Romo's been around the league for a while. So, he's a seasoned veteran. So he tries to do the thing that he used to do when he was younger, and he can't do that anymore.
Exactly.
And, was it him, or was it the defense, the cornerbacks adjusting to get? It's not every day you get 2 interceptions. It reminds me back to the game with the Knicks and the Indiana Pacers in the playoff game some years ago, where Reggie Miller came and hit drained those. Knicks were up by 12 points, something like that, and Reggie Miller drained 3 3-pointers or whatnot to beat the Knicks. I mean, within seconds.
Yeah, I remember that game actually.
Yeah, because you're a Bulls fan, so. The Knicks.
Yep.
Love the Knicks. Pittsburgh should get a basketball team.
But with that game, the Steelers have to do a lot of these receivers for the Green Bay Packers, because Matt Flynn right now he's flying high right now.
Yeah, it's either hit or miss with him. I mean, look at the game before when it was up between him and that other guy. I don't know, the guy that came out of nowhere who was supposed to be to lead the Packers while they wait for Rodgers to heal, and he screwed up. And then Flynn came in, he screwed up again. And so it was like, who's going to quarterback the next game? So there's really no set quarterback in Green Bay.
Right, exactly.
Except that who we might see. Right. And after this comeback, we're pretty much sure we're going to see Flynn. I'd be very surprised if we see Rodgers play the rest of this year.
They're saying he's healthy, I guess, for this game, but why would you throw him in there if you got this guy who's doing okay? Yeah. And if you can hold off and try to keep Rodgers healthy for the playoffs, Why not?
Well,
So-
there's no playoffs in Green Bay. I'll tell you that right now. But what you don't want to do, you don't want to have this scenario where you bring him in. Maybe he's not healed.
Right.
Well, let's just say, for the sake of argument, he's healed. He comes in this game and he gets knocked out.
Right.
Now, the severity of an injury could lead. Obviously, he's going to miss the rest of the season, and possibly in the beginning of next season. Is that what you want? Well, you roll the dice and you take your chances, I guess, because Rodgers been around for a while.
Right.
I mean, he's no spring chicken either, and he's not just going to heal up. Obviously, with this collarbone incident, he's been out for 5 games. So obviously, he's not healing the way he used to heal when he was younger.
Right.
So any other big injuries to this guy, is this what you want for next year? Hey, I'm not an NFC, so you guys do what you want to do. But if I was the team owner, I don't think Rodgers sees another snap for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Playoffs, you got to do it.
Exactly.
You got to.
Well, like I said, this is a huge game for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's coming in. Last time they played Green Bay, I believe, was the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, the Steelers had a chance to win that one late, but we came up short. And
Yep.
the Steelers have to focus in this game because Matt Flynn, like I said, he's going to be firing on all cylinders, and they have to control Lacy. Lacy is the big back that's coming out of the backfield.
Right.
Like, this guy can catch the ball. This guy can run with the ball. This was a pick that we thought the Steelers were going to take. But you know, with him having a big injury with a big history of injuries with his turf toe,
Yeah.
Steelers didn't want to take a chance on that because they had a lot of players that were retired in Pittsburgh with turf toe.
Oh yeah, and Jack Lambert was huge.
Exactly.
That put him out. I mean, Jack Lambert. Yeah, remember? Yeah, Jack Lambert. I mean, everybody feared this guy. Why, he didn't have any teeth? I don't know, but I mean, he was a hard hitter. He wasn't the big size like Jarvis Jones, or he was a mediocre guy, but he played with heart and a lot of heart, and that gets you fired these days.
Exactly. What are some of the things you see the Steelers have to do offensively to win this game against the Packers in Green Bay, which is going to be a hostile environment?
Okay, what the Steelers have to do, like they did against Cincinnati, they have to score early and they have to score often. Now, very few times that the Steelers this year have been able to capitalize on such things as interception, fumbles, or whatnot. So that's a huge goal for the Pittsburgh Steelers, to capitalize on the other team's mistakes. Now, Green Bay doesn't make a lot of mistakes, so
Right.
that way, if we do get one or two, we have to capitalize. We just can't, have the mentality, okay, we got the ball back, but we stopped them, and we're giving them back. We can't do that. Not this time of the season. We can't do that. We can't give the other team at all any chance of survival or any chance of beating us. Also, we have to stop Lacy. And the way we've been, if you call it tackling, the way we have been doing that lately is dismal. It's almost up there around pathetic.
Exactly.
Okay, you got Hayward's making all the tackles. He's all over the place. You can't rely on that. So everybody's got to step up, and everybody's got to stop the run. Now, you got some fast receivers with good hands. What do we got to do? We have to hit them at the line. We cannot give them. If they burn you, they burn you. But you know what? I guarantee you that the quarterback's not going to throw a bomb every single play. All right, you have to get up on them, and you have to slow them, get them off their routes. And I'm pretty sure that if we get some pressure on Flynn, we're going to win this game.
That's the thing, and that's what I was going to actually allude to, is that we have to get that pressure on Flynn. You have to make this guy be shaken in the pocket. And we really haven't been doing that to a lot of quarterbacks this year. But Pittsburgh has to step up. They have to put pressure on him. And to me, it's got to be constant pressure. If this guy feels like he's going to get hit every down, this guy is going to be erratic with his throws. Some of his throws are going to be off because he's thinking he's going to get hit. So, and that's what they have to do. Maybe they have to institute more blitz packages in for this game, because you have to hit this guy hard. Just like when we played the Buffalo Bills, it seemed like a lot of the Steelers' defense was rolling on all cylinders because they were making that young guy erratic.
That's right. Absolutely, Big Tez. And what we got to do is we have to, like I said earlier, you have to score often and early, which now they can't run anymore. So now we don't have to focus on the running, because a lot of teams playing catch-up are not going to run the ball. So that way we can focus on more nickel and dime packages and, have them beat us on the ground.
Right.
And if they do that, that's how you run the clock out. Granted, they might get some yards on us, but they're not getting the touchdowns. So if we score often and early and we have a lead, they have to resort to the pass, not the run. So that's one aspect of the game we don't have to worry about.
Exactly.
All Our side of the ball, special teams cannot, they have to play mistake-free football. Cannot miss any field goals. When the punt coverage team and the kickoff coverage team, you got to get down there. You have to cover. It's not a track meet, guys. It's not see how fast we can get down there and get to you. We have to tackle. You have to make the plays. We cannot give them any opportunities to score. None whatsoever. We have to come out no huddle once again. We have to have the same concept of the Bengals Sunday night. Ben just got to get the ball, two-drop, step drop, and throw the ball, release it within seconds.
Right.
Get the ball out. Pull the guys up so that way you can get Wheaton out there and you can get Brown and Sanders to burn those guys on a route, because the cornerbacks, the secondary for the Packers really aren't that good or impressive.
Right.
However, they did a great job against the Cowboys. Romo. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
but
exactly.
Once we get out there, and then we have to get the early lead, we have to protect it.
Exactly. Big O, let me ask you this now. What do you see yourself as there being a realistic score in this game against the Green Bay Packers?
Well, it's gonna be a low-scoring game, and it's gonna be close because of the weather and the time of the day. It's gonna be, 8, 9 degrees is gonna be the low, and 18 or something like that is gonna be the high. So a 4:30 game, getting it tonight, you know it's going to be really, really cold.
Oh, yeah.
And we know the Steelers can operate. Those are the best weather conditions for the Pittsburgh Steelers because Ben could throw the ball in cold. But I see a 17-13 win for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm going to go opposite. And it hurts me to say this because I'm a Steeler fan. But I'm going to say 2017 Packers.
2017 Packers.
Yeah. And I hope that I'm wrong, but
remember, all complaints go to in care of Big Tiz, Steeler Nation Live. I don't know. Being realistic, I understand it. You know, we all want Steelers to win, and sometimes you just right. It's not there. But
yeah, you got to go with what's real, and I see it being the secondary. Because they're so up and down, because it'll be a game that they play well, like they did against the Cincinnati Bengals, and then the next game they come up, they'll fall up short to where, a guy's getting burned here or burned there. So that's what I'm feeling at this moment, but hopefully the defense will get that pressure on Flynn like we want them to, and they'll make that a different score and a positive light for the Steelers, so we're all hoping that. So guys, there you have our preview for that game versus the Green Bay Packers. We're going to go to commercial break, and we'll come back and we'll give you our final thoughts for the night. Next up on Steeler Nation Live.
SteelerNationLive.net. It's live. Join Big O, Big T every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. New York's only in-depth analysis of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Black and gold. Game review. Injury report. Injury releases. Who got fired? Fantasy stats. Fantasy football. Rumor. Anything and everything you want to know about the black and gold. SteelerNationLive.net.
I'm Big O from Steeler Nation Live with your Pittsburgh Steelers future weather forecast for this Sunday, December 22nd, just before Christmas. Do you have your shopping done? I do. Well, anyways, folks, the future forecast at Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. You know this time of year, it's going to be cold. Folks, 4:30 game, high temperature is going to be in the high 19s. Yes, 19, folks, for the high. The low going to be in the 8. So, 4:30 game, you know it's going to be below 10. They say 10% chance of snow. That cold, it can't even snow. But I'm pretty sure Green Bay this time of year, there'll be lots of snow. So dress warmly. Be ready for a Pittsburgh Steelers victory. Not a meltdown like the Cowboys. We're not gonna do anything like that. We're gonna win because we're still alive for the playoffs, folks. I'm Big O for Steeler Nation Live with your Steeler future weather forecast.
Welcome back. Big Tiz.
Time Big O.
Guys, we are here giving you our final thoughts for the night here on Steeler Nation Live. You know what? I want to put out there that the Steelers have hope. And I'm going to title this one for me as Hope Tonight. And that says, I hope the Steelers can do the things they need to do to win this game versus the Green Bay Packers. You know, we did a lot of things this year that gave us hope, but these are the things these Steelers have to put forward and look at it that if you do what you got to do, the hope is there. There's 2 games left, and the Steelers have to win those 2 games. We hope that they can beat the Green Bay Packers. We hope that they can win the last 2 games of the season so that Steelers can have that shot that they're trying to get. I see it as a mathematically chance that they're eliminated, to be honest. But if they say we're still in the hunt, I'm going for it. So one thing I want to say to Steelers, keep hope alive. You know, heard that before, right? Keep hope alive. Do the things you need to do to keep the Steelers competitive, keep them motivated. And that means going all the way from the coach Tomlin all the way down to the kicker on the team, which is Swisham. Do what you need to do to keep the Steelers' hopes alive. The hopes and dreams of other Steeler fans out there, just like Big Tiz, Big O, and all you Steeler fans viewing the show right now. The hope is there for the Steelers, and let's all hope that the Steelers can finish out this season on a positive light. So that's my tune for tonight on Steeler Nation Live. Hope, brother.
Hope. It sounds great. We all love hope. And you know what, folks? Next week at this time, we all know what it is. It's Christmas. And we all know Christmas is the time of giving. So what we do not want to give is a loss to the Green Bay Packers coming up. We want to give them a present from Pittsburgh. It's called a win. We want to win this and send them home packing. Well, there'll be home Packers. Home packing, you like that?
Exactly. I like that.
But anyways, folks, Christmas time, you know what they're saying. It's better to give than to receive. And we don't want to receive a loss. We want to give a win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And like Big Tiz alluded to, you know, mathematically, whatever the geniuses up there in NFL heaven say that Pittsburgh is still in it at this time, we just got to keep on winning. And losing is not an option. Losing is never an option, regardless if it's for the playoffs or if it's not. So, folks, hope, like Big Tiz alluded to earlier, that's what we're looking at right now. Hopes. And we hope that Pittsburgh comes out on top next Sunday, the 22nd, Lambeau Field, on top with a victory, and so we can enjoy this Christmas. It's going to be a pretty sad Christmas if Pittsburgh loses. So I'm just, you know, we'll find out next week on our Christmas special that me and Big Tiz will have for you. Yes, we'll be working, but we won't. But we're not going to air the show on Christmas. We're going to do it the day after. So that way you can open up your presents, you can drink your eggnog and relax.
Wear your Steeler hats.
Your new Steeler gear from Santa Claus, and sit down by the fire, listen to some music or whatnot, or watch me and Big Tiz talk about how great it's going to be in the Super Bowl this year and what a great accomplishment that we've done, but coming back and getting to the Super Bowl. But I want to jump the gun. Let's take this one game at a time. Let's focus on now, and then we'll worry about the Cleveland game after that. But folks, this is it. It's do or die time, and I do believe it's to do time, not to die.
Exactly.
So from Big O, from Steeler Nation Live to you folks out there, we hope you have a great Christmas, and I hope it's going to be even greater because Pittsburgh's going to beat the Packers 17-13 this coming up Sunday.
I love it. There you have it here on Steeler Nation Live. You know what? Make sure you check us out at the website, www.steelernationlive.net. Go to TalkShoe.com. Check out the audio side there. Woo! And you know what? There are a lot of things you can do there. Listen to our old shows, our old feeds there. So come on out. Listen to us on Steeler Nation Live. So from Big Tiz.
And I'm Big O.
We wish you guys a happy and a Merry Christmas from Steeler Nation Live.
Steeler Nation, Big Tiz, Big O, Big Tiz, Big O. It's Steeler Nation, man. Yeah, Mr. Stone, Big O. Yeah, I had to say it was a Stone, man. You know, cause you know, it is a Stone, man. Yeah.